listening, pay attention.
You're looking for capitals?
Steve Davis is a newly qualified teacher at Chiswick Community School in West London. He teaches GCSE PE to a Year 10 class, which involves one lesson a week of sports theory.
Have you got your books, Base?
Yes.
I don't have it.
He's asked John Bailey to observe him, because while Steve has a good relationship with the pupils, he feels he needs help asserting himself in the classroom.
Nick and Gavin, you three there. Don't open it yet, guys.
I like this beginning. You're relaxed.
Get your book off me. Principal trainer is the title. Date's 23rd.
But it's clear what they have to do and they get on with it.
So this is like 5 minutes in, they're still arriving late.
But I like the way you bring them in. You don't start ratting away at them, you just get them in and get them working.
Yeah, I can't be... It's just... I don't see the point of shouting at them. And if they're really late and they don't react, I'll keep them behind after, and then I'll speak to them then.
Yeah, so deal with it later. That's perfect.
Last lesson, we looked at the different training methods, if you remember. So that's our first aim. We're just going to go over them, recap them, have a look at them again. The second aim is we're going to try and have a clear understanding of training principles and how they're used in constructive training programs. Remember, we're looking at our coursework, Liam, and we're doing about a training program for our own sport, developing our fitness and things like that, okay? So that's what we're trying to look at. So we're getting knowledge now, the theory behind it, so we can build up. About a minute left.
That's good, and I like the way you're making use of time there. I think that's pretty nearly a perfect beginning. And let me tell you why I think it. And if you think it isn't, you can tell me, but you've got them in there. You've given them the big picture. You're relaxed but engaging with them.
Yeah.
They understand what the lesson objectives are pretty quickly.
What I've just given you there in your envelopes is basically 3 colours and 3 sets of cards. All you need to do is match them up with that training method, description, and the type of sport that is used for it, okay?
Oh, this one.
Who's good for rowers? This one.
In a circuit we travel.
Are you happy with the persona that you're seeing there? Is that the kind of person you wanted to see at the front of the room?
Okay, so there's different parts where we've got different altitudes, different levels.
Yeah, just nice and relaxed, I suppose. Just, I don't like to be or seen as one as like the bad guy ever. So I try and come across as quite a nice person, quite approachable, which I think they do see. So yeah, it's fine.
Just one thing, just that phrase you used, I don't like to be seen as the bad guy ever.
Yeah.
You said that with some emphasis. I just want us to hold that because I'm going to get us just thinking a little bit about ways in which you can be firm, without being, being bad.
So, yeah.
Okay, on this yellow worksheet I'm going to give you now, I'd like you to start to think about your own personal exercise program. So, on the sheet you have a space to write your sports. For example, Nick would probably be basketball, Gavin football. We've got 7 exercises. I want you to try and fill in as many as possible, okay? So, for example, if it was football, and exercise 1 would be what? Shuttle runs. Why?
You need like
Okay, change of pace in football, so shuttle runs is good for your sprinting. Once you've done the 7, you go on to the next bit. And it says what muscles are being used? Calves, quads, hamstrings. So try and relate it to your sport, try and relate it to specific examples, okay? If you've got someone you know who does football or basketball, switch seats and go and sit with them so you can trade off ideas. So, for example, Gavin and Luke and Daniel, James might want to come and sit together because you're footballers. Nick and Ben sit together because you're basketballers. Try and get together with someone who plays your sport because then you have a broader range of skills or exercises.
You suggest that they're going to sit down with people who do the same sport as themselves. And you kind of make the suggestion, and you look at them, and they look at you, and you look at them, and then it doesn't happen.
Doesn't have to be things you've heard of. You can try and make your own exercise program up as well. So try and think of an exercise that you could make up, that you could, create.
One of the reasons, I guess, that they didn't want to move was that threatened to break up some friendship groups.
Yeah.
But if you're doing that business saying, OK, for task number 9, we need to regroup and get leg specialists in one part of the room and chest specialists in the part of the room, do we have to do it, sir? Yeah, of course we have to do it, because it's part of the syllabus, it's part of the analytical skills we use, it's part of the way we work as teams. You've got 30 seconds to be doing it.
OK, as a class now, let's see if we can name all the training methods. Let's have one. Fartlek is one. Ben, name me another. Huh? Name me another. So listen.
Pass.
There was a group of lads at the back who were getting a bit restive. They're horsing around with each other. Their focus has gone down. And it's one of the reasons why you had trouble moving people at the end of the lesson as well. Because they were sort of, we've done enough. Don't bother us and we won't bother you. The only trouble is they were bothering you. They were making the end of your lesson a bit tatty.
Continuous, Gavin. Altitudes. Liam.
Eternal? Is that one?
Almost. Sounds American. Someone help him out. Interval. OK. Circuit.
What I would like you to do with them at moments like that is get in, get close, get low-voiced, and restate the target behaviour. Gentlemen, what I need you to do is get into groups of 4, finish the worksheet. We've got 5 minutes to finish the task, and that's what I need you to be doing right now. And I don't think that's being nasty.
I'm going to give you 2 minutes to get this down.
In his next lesson with his Year 10 group, Steve's challenge is to get the lads to follow all his instructions, while still keeping it friendly.
If you haven't finished, leave a little bit of a gap for it and we'll go back to the end and you can write it down then. But now we're going to move on.
Yesterday we talked about that back table. Not so much how to control it, but you were getting a certain amount of chit-chat and distraction. And there are 1 or 2 characters back there who I can see on a bad day could get on your nerves. Although you're remarkably good at not letting people get on your nerves. You've got a really good, cool style that I want to talk about. What I liked was, and tell me if I've seen what was happening right, in one of your first exercises, you did this business of regrouping.
I want you to work, Luke, in groups of 2 or 3. However, your groups must be with someone who plays a totally different sport to you. So, for example, Nana and Luke, you have to split up, OK? So I want you to move and sit next to someone who plays a totally different sport to you, OK? You've got 30 seconds to do that. Once you're in your groups, I will give you this. Gervais, who are you working with? You work with Gavin. You're both footballers, though? Yeah, you're both footballers. I know you're sports. So you probably need to come and work with Roshan, who's a rower. Or come make a 3. Your task is to match up the sport principle with the definition. 2 of them are spurious. What's that? Or 2 of them are fakes. And you've got to figure out which one the fakes are.
This one, overtired.
And training programming.
Training programming. That's what it's doing.
There are how many? Fakes?
Sport. You spell
Work it out.
3.
Figure out the sport principle. What is the sport principle? Then from that you should take out the fakes, and then you need to match up the yellows with the definitions, OK? We did this yesterday, so it should be literally a recap.
No, training. Look in the book, man.
Are you working with Gervais? OK, do you want to come around?
Done, sir.
Maybe move or sit on the desk here so you can see what you're doing. Or sit behind him to have a bit of input. You done it, guys?
Yeah.
See what we got. Yeah.
It took Gervais about 2 minutes to finally separate. Once that separation was achieved, I noticed that there was then a period of quite concentrated work. You got them in this new setting, and so it worked. It was a winner.
In order to understand what strength is, we need to define it, okay? But there's two types of strength. We've got muscular endurance, we've got muscular strength, okay? Two very different things, which you're going to learn about in a minute. We have two volunteers. Two volunteers. Roshan, you were good, and Nana, actually. Okay.
Show the guy needs weight.
Okay, Roshan.
Steve now feels confident enough to encourage the class to use physical activities to help them understand the theory.
Forwards. Rest your arms on each of the shoulders. Okay, so your shoulder goes there. Further base. And just push. Stop, wait. Okay, enough. Fine, thank you very much. Sit down. Well done, thank you. Gervais, what happened?
They were basically stacked, like.
What were they? Say that again. They were what? Not
static.
Static, meaning what? They weren't doing what?
They
weren't a lot of movement, yeah? So there's basically two forces push against each other. That is an example of static strength.
You would get them to do a demonstration. Mm-hmm. Then they were writing down what it was they'd learned from it, and they were extending that by writing down examples they'd thought of. Then you gave further input, so you used the PowerPoint to give illustrations of sports where these things would be happening.
Okay. What James is showing is dynamic strength at the minute. It is a repetitive application of force. For example, gentlemen, when you finish, James, you can put it down. Okay, well done. Thank you. Round of applause, James.
Let me give it to Alex.
Alex, here you go.
You'll follow my son.
Hurry up. Look, he's getting that.
He's going red.
Okay, I'll have the weight back.
Look, he has to run.
We need to copy all this down for dynamic strength now.
I was a bit sceptical if it would work or not, because I was trying to think are the kids going to go for it, but they did, so it was good.
Do you mean there was an element of risk there?
Yeah, I didn't want to go too demonstrated, so they lost the purpose of what was going on. It's like it was just there for a bit of fun.
Yeah.
It was there for a purpose. I didn't want to lose that. And that's why it's a bit risky.
What you were doing there, I think it's kind of PE at its best. You're mixing cognitive work and physical work.
Yeah.
And so they're not just a bunch of lumps doing exercises. They're doing stuff, and they're reflecting about what it is they're doing, and they're relating it to a theoretical purpose.
Yeah.
Test for muscular strength or dynamic strength is how many press-ups or sit-ups you can do in 1 minute. So we're going to count. Gavin, go.
1, 2. No, we're cheating.
Have a break if you need to, Gavin. Have a break. Have a break. Got 10 seconds left. Can you do any more? 9, 8, 7, 6. Done. Okay, that is how we can test muscular strength.
So can you do that?
I think it was sort of a 95% lesson.